Breaking tonight with just a week to go until the first GOP presidential debate, the battle between more than a dozen candidates is getting tougher than ever. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. The GOP field has now grown to some 17 candidates, with the latest national polls confirming Donald Trump's position at the head of the pack, with an edge of more than 6 points over his closest rival, Scott Walker. But this debate could change everything. The candidates are getting ready with two big concerns. What do they want to say to the American people? And what do they want to say about their various rivals? This will be the very first chance for the voters to compare and contrast the candidates right next to each other. And if that were not enough pressure for the people taking the stage, there is one more factor that may make this debate unlike any the American people have ever seen before. Charles Krauthammer is a Fox News contributor and author of Things That Matter, now out in paperback with an added chapter on the age of Obama. Charles, good to see you tonight. And that added factor is Donald Trump. And an aide to Governor John Kasich came out and said it is like a NASCAR driver mentally preparing for a race, knowing one of the drivers will be drunk. You don't know what to expect.
Well, if you wanted to put it slightly more kindly, he could have just said erratic and unpredictable. But everybody knows that in the lead up to this debate, it's going to be all about Trump. That will be the story, no matter what happens otherwise in the debate. That will be the story that's going to be carried out by the media. That's going to be the sound bites. And the two questions are, will Trump act like a statesman, or will he continue the anger and bluster show? And the second is, will anybody take him on, and who will it be? On the first, I know he's getting advice from the media that he should play the statesman, and that would propel him. I'm not sure that he's capable of doing that, but assuming he is, I'm not sure that would be successful. He's had such incredible success with the bluster and the anger that he has tapped into, that I suspect he'll continue on that vein. The question is, will anybody challenge him? If you're a top-tier candidate, there's not that much advantage in doing that, particularly now early in the race. You get into a mud fight, the others will benefit rather than you. I suspect it could be somebody who's in the middle of the pack, say a number 9 or 10 or 11 today in the polls, on the bubble of the debate, on the cusp, who might want to take him out as a way to be the dragon slayer. And perhaps the candidate for that would be Rick Perry, who took him on the most strongly after his remarks, Trump's remarks about John McCain.
And speaking of Rick Perry, should he make it into the debate, he has a lot to lose and a lot to prove. And it is an example for some of the other candidates in that terrible moment that they all want to avoid. Who could forget this awful moment just 4 years ago when his candidacy began to implode due to one exchange on the debate stage? Watch.
It's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone: commerce, education, and the what's the third one there? Let's see. The third agency of government, I would do away with the education, commerce, and let's see. I can't. The third one I can't. Sorry. Oops.
Poor Governor Perry.
Well, there are these moments in American political history where one thing happens. Ed Muskie, reportedly or supposedly crying in the snow in New Hampshire. He was the leader. He was the presumptive Democratic nominee. He was done. Or Howard Dean, who was leading, you remember, the famous rant. So everybody is afraid of that. Look, you and I who do live television know that you're always on the tightrope. You're always on the high wire. And the candidates are slightly less experienced at that. But I think this is a chance for Perry if he makes, I don't know, if he does the zinger that everybody replays, that could be his moment. But, it may not, it's dangerous for any candidate to go after Trump in that sense, because he zings back, and you never know how that.
Well, how much does it play, Charles? How much does it play that Trump is the front runner? And notwithstanding, all of the incendiary things he has said, he's still in the #1 position. So the GOP voters right now seem to like him. So how risky is it to the other candidates if they go after him hard?
I think it is highly risky. The fact that he is in front is remarkable. You know, I haven't changed my opinion of his candidacy, but I have changed my opinion of his durability. I mean, this is a guy who mocked the service of a prisoner of war who was tortured for 5.5 years and refused early release, and Trump got away with it. He not only got away with it, it wasn't even a speed bump in his rise in the polls. So he clearly is tapping into something. He will not go away easily, and I think it is a risk. But Perry, as one, just to pick an example, he called for Trump to pull out of the race after that. So he's already out on a limb, and if he wants to define himself, remember, Trump is way out ahead, but it's a field of 16. He's way out ahead, but it's still only a quarter of the vote. So 3/4 of the Republicans out there are not set on Trump.
The other candidates are said to be preparing, as you would expect, murder boards and standing in front of their teams and doing it, you know, the way that you're expecting them to. Donald Trump is not preparing at all. He's over in Scotland and he's enjoying the sports and so on. He says, look, fine, my plan is to be nice to everybody. What they need is a moment. What these other guys need is a moment, Charles. And who could forget this one last time around that helped Newt Gingrich win South Carolina? Watch.
She says you asked her, sir, to enter into an open marriage. Would you like to take some time to respond to that?
No, but I will. I think the destructive, vicious, negative nature of much of the news media makes it harder to govern this country, harder to attract decent people to run for public office, and I am appalled that you would begin a presidential debate on a topic like that.
That was huge. And what are the odds that one of these candidates will try for a moment like that?
Well, it's always easier to go after the press, the media. That can always be successful.
Even this press? What?
Well, of course. No, I would exclude temporarily Fox, but there are going to be other debates, and they will be able to play off the media. And, you know, Newt took off like an Atlas rocket after that. And it is, you know, it's a lot riskier to go after another candidate.
We are having meetings every day on this now, and as I've said before, Chris Wallace, Bret Baier, and I are merciless with each other when it comes to the content of these questions, so they will be just as tight and as strong as they can be when we go out there a week from tonight. Charles, looking forward to seeing you right after that a week from now.
Be a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, we also have breaking news tonight on a new challenge for the GOP frontrunner, with reports suggesting that Donald Trump may be changing his position on immigration. Chris Steyerwalt and Howard Kurtz join us right after this break on whether that's true and what it could mean for the debate and the presidential race. Plus, new outrage with one of America's top supermodels. I know, James, I'm sorry. Brian Kilmeade is here on why Giselle is now being criticized by people around the globe. And we showed you last night the body cam video from a Cincinnati cop now charged with murder. But his lawyer says there is much more that we don't see, and he is here live in a Kelly File must-see interview.
Well, until I can figure out if you have a license or not, go ahead and take your seatbelt off for me. I didn't even do that. Go ahead and take your seatbelt off. Stop! Stop!